You sent a proposal 11 days ago. Since then, someone at that business has opened it 4 times. Someone else has opened it too, and you've never met them. Neither of those things has reached you. So on Monday, you will send the message that everybody sends. Just checking in. Any thoughts? Hi, I'm Chris from Fuse IT. If your firm sells experience rather than products, some of this will sound familiar. You aren't running a funnel of thousands. You're running 15 live conversations, and 3 of them enormously matter. There's no volume to average out a mistake. The person you talk to isn't the person who decides. Your sponsor is enthusiastic, and your sponsor is not the one who will stop this. The finance director will, or the IT manager, or the operations lead that watched the last pilot go down in a pile of flames. You haven't met any of them, and you won't until the deal has already slowed down. Then there's the part that's particular to a firm like yours. The people who sell are the people who also deliver. Every hour that somebody spends chasing a proposal that's gone quiet is an hour not billed and not sold. In Salesforce's 2026 State of Sales report, they found sellers spend just 40% of their week actually selling. The rest goes to admin, chasing, and hunting for context. Timing makes it harder. Harvard Business Review found that firms responding within an hour are nearly 7 times more likely to have a meaningful conversation than those who wait longer. Not 7%, 7 times. So, what do you do about it? There's 2 systems that matter here. There's your website, where people research you long before they speak to you, and your CRM, where you keep what you know about them. If those 2 don't talk, everything in a website learns is thrown away, and your team starts every conversation cold. Here's a guide that we've delivered that outlines 4 milestones to get right. First, connect what people do on your website to your CRM, so you don't have more to go on than what someone happens to remember. 2, understand. Then read what those signals mean. When someone's reading an article about pilots that never reached production, they're worried about a different thing than someone reading about cost cutting. What a person chooses to read tells you which of your services they need and which they're afraid of. People's brains react strongly to urgency and a fear of loss. This means they're more likely to make buying decisions out of desperation than motivation. Next, put the right work and examples in front of them. Your own website, showing this person the business case for the service that they've been considering. Finally, the proposal. Stop sending a document into an email thread and hoping. Give the client a space where the work is laid out clearly, where questions sit against the things being asked about, and where they can bring in their colleagues you've never met. This is what Loupe does. It turns what happens on your website into intelligence inside your CRM and gives your clients a better place to make a decision. Okay, let me show you what this looks like in practice. Let's say you're a consultancy. I've mocked up a fictitious firm called Advisor. They offer strategic insights and customized solutions. They have 3 services: strategy development, financial consulting, and technology solutions. On their website, they also have half a dozen pieces of thinking, written as articles, and they have a contact form. That's it. There are no clever widgets here, no configurator, no chatbot, and there doesn't need to be. That's the point I want to make. We can get signals from ordinary websites. It's just often nobody is reading them. Now, Advisor also use a CRM. They use Salesforce. Now, inside their Salesforce instance, they will have a maybe a handful of leads. They'll have some accounts that are open at the moment, maybe ones they're trying to secure. But it's very much a vanilla platform. But one of the key differences that this Salesforce has is it has Loupe enabled. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a demonstration which shows how one person follows through and is captured as a lead, converted to a contact, and then presented with a proposal. Now, this person's name is going to be Naomi. She's an operations director at Kestrel Freight, and she's been asked by her company to fix a set of systems that just don't talk to each other well and make some big technology decisions. She has a board presentation that's 6 weeks away, but she's never spoken to Advisor, but they've been recommended to her, so she's started to look at their website. She isn't on any of their lists at the moment. So, over a fortnight, you can imagine Naomi coming to this website, looking at the services they offer, and maybe reading some pieces. She can read an article about the pilot that never became production. She may return to it and have read it many times over many days. She may also read an article about nobody using systems that they don't trust. Then she may also spend several minutes looking at what Advisor provides when it comes to technology solutions. Now, just by browsing the website, she's already told Advisor a great deal. And Advisor don't know that she exists yet. Loupe is what closes that gap. It records what she reads against an anonymous visitor held in her own web browser. And it reads patterns, not just counting clicks. 2 articles about implementations that fail, and 1 service page about technology. That isn't just someone browsing. That's someone who's been burned before and is checking whether you understand why. On her next visit, she goes to the contact form. And she enters her information and asks for someone to reach out to. I'm going to go ahead and fill in these form fields now, pretending that I'm Naomi. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do here, because this is a demonstration, I'm going to use an email alias for Naomi, so that emails are still directed to me. Now, this is the message that has been provided. She needs help picking a new document management solution, and she needs to help deciding which one. Now, often this would be the first time that someone would ever engage, and the amount of information that you can capture in a form is limited. What I'm really interested to show you now is that once this has been completed, everything changes. The engine within Loupe will match her email and create a new lead in the CRM, and it will take that website activity and will stitch it all together on her record. Let's see what that looks like now in Salesforce. I'm going to switch over to Salesforce, and I'm going to have a look at all leads. And I can see that Naomi has been created as a lead. We can see the information that she entered in the form. We can also see these website insights that Loupe provides. So we can see the type of activities that she's been showing interest in on the website. The hardest part of your job is matching the right service to actual need, and getting it wrong costs you rewriting the whole deal. Naomi's form says she needs help with systems. Her reading of the articles say that there's a real risk of adoption, not just architecture. Those are 2 different types of proposals. The person that's picking this up knows which ones to lead with before the first call. And underpinning all of this is a privacy-first approach to identification. A visitor is connected to a record based on a clear identifier, like an email address or a phone number, not guessed at. Until then, the behavior stays in the visitor's own browser. And when it reaches the CRM, it lives inside the firm's own Salesforce environment. So it is no separate platform holding client data and no additional processor to assess. Now, let's return to the website. Imagine that Naomi returns after a few days away. The site doesn't start over. It leads with the technology work and with the piece that she hasn't read yet. This one is about business cases that survived their first month, because that's what she's going to need for the board. Now, this is subtle. She might not consciously notice it, but the site is now answering questions that she may be carrying. What she sees is decided within the CRM, not just the website. Which signals counts, who a visitor is matched to, what shows and what stays hidden, that's defined logic, running inside Salesforce, behaving the same way every time. Now, AI can layer on top of this as well to interpret the patterns and suggest what's next. We use rules for what needs to be reliable, and we can layer AI on top of that for what needs judgment. Now, let's say some time has passed and a discovery call has been completed and work has been scoped out. Now we need to present it to Naomi. The usual way we do that is maybe create a PDF, draft a covering email, send it off. And you know how that goes. You don't know if it was read, you don't know who else saw it. Questions might come back scattered across 4 different replies, if they come back at all, and silence tells you nothing. And it looks the same whether they're busy or gone. So instead of sending a document in an email, Advisor uses Loupe, and it's going to open a collaborative space with Naomi to present the proposal. Now, I'm going to do a few things here in Salesforce. The first thing I'm going to do, now that the discovery session is complete, is I'm going to convert this from a lead to an account, contact, and opportunity. Now, different people use Salesforce in different ways, and this is the default way that you can use to create opportunities. So I'm going to create an account, create a contact, and create an opportunity. And I'm going to give this opportunity a name because Naomi was specifically asking about document management solutions. Great, so that's been done. Now I can come along to this account and the opportunity and add some more information about it based on what we know about Kestrel Freight now. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to put on an account logo. This is useful to be able to show tailored branding. Okay, great. We have a logo for them now. Now, you see here that this account has been automatically assigned to a person in Salesforce called Dwayne. So I'm performing all of these actions under Dwayne's user. Let's have a look now at the open opportunity that is related to this particular account. Great. So I have an opportunity. I have some standard Salesforce fields, things like probability, amount, and so on. But what I'm most interested here is showing how I can create what's called a sales room using Loupe. So I'm going to enable that for this particular opportunity now. And this sales room is going to be an online shared collaborative space, which is automatically added to the website, and Naomi will be able to view this information. Okay, now as Dwayne, I'd like to leave Naomi and anyone else from Kestrel Freight a message so that they're able to have a personalized touch. So let's put a message in here. Great. So we've left them a message. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more content into this space that they're going to be able to see when they access the website. Now, usually this would be created in advance using a template or using AI to pre-populate, but I wanted to show also how easy it can be to manually add some of this information. So I'm going to add a couple of quick links here. The first link I wanted to add is if they wanted to send Dwayne an email, I'm going to include his email address. So this is super simple. But I also wanted to be able to show that you can do things like book meeting requests as well. So I'm going to include a link here to Dwayne's booking system so that they can contact Dwayne, which is great. Now I'm also interested in adding some full links. So for example, I could present the recording for the discovery session so that they can look back at that and see what was said. So we can put in here, let me move myself out of a way, we can put in here some messaging, we can put in here a link to the recording, and we can save that. So this is great. So you don't need to add a lot of content to start with. This information can keep getting added to over time. Now that we have the content we want to display, we can start inviting people. So first person I'm going to invite, you'll see that I have both Naomi and Dwayne here as people who can access this space. So I'm going to send an invitation to Naomi. This will be a personalized email which is sent to her, which includes the link to the sales room. Now this sales room link will be only for her. At this stage, there's no one else from Kestrel Freight who is invited to this space. And that will be automatically sent as an email to her. So rather than waiting for the email to arrive, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, have a look at the email that was sent and open up this space for Naomi. So this is taking us to the same website but into a different page, and it's asking me to verify the email address. Now we're doing a verification process here. The reason why we do this is we want to verify that Naomi has access to this particular email account. And what it is going to do is it's going to send her an email or two-step verification code and asking her to enter in 6 digits. To show you what that experience might look like, I've just opened up a browser showing the inbox for Naomi, and you'll be able to see the type of verification code that's come through. I'm going to select that now, and I'm going to return and enter that. Okay, the sales room is now loading, and we can see here that this is a personalized space for Naomi. We can see here a personalized greeting from the person assigned to their account in Salesforce. We can see the logo that was entered earlier, and we can see here the links that we added to book meetings or send an email. We also see the discovery session together that were recorded and a place for questions or comments to be left. And very importantly, as this deal progresses, Naomi can invite people from her team as well to join in. Now, there's not a lot of content together, so what we're going to do is we're going to add more content inside the opportunity in Salesforce and present it to Naomi. Now, Dwayne has had some time to put together the approach, the scope, and the commercials. He's added these all to the sales room, as you can see here. In this case, we've linked external documents, but any kind of resource can be shared and added to the space, like videos, documents or web pages, and they'll show up automatically in Naomi's view. Okay, let's switch back now and have a look at what the sales room looks like to people at Kestrel Freight. We can see the original discovery session plus the new document that Dwayne has added. We can click on these links and it will open up the document. Now, one of the things that is different between this and, say, attaching it as an email and sending it to them is because that link was viewed and opened from inside the sales room, we know who has clicked on it. We know who has opened it. And that is very powerful. Let's imagine now that Naomi had some questions about the approach. She could come down to the comments section and add in her feedback. Now, any comments or questions that are asked are automatically sent to the person assigned to this opportunity inside Salesforce, and they can respond to comments. Let's see what that might look like. Let's imagine I'm Dwayne, and I've just received a notification inside the sales room that somebody has started a new conversation. We can then find that particular comment here, and we can respond to it. That comment then becomes available inside the sales room for Naomi and other members to view. Now, speaking of other members, one of the key things with the sales room approach is not just to have your champion that you're trying to win inside this space, but for them to invite their colleagues and team members to participate as well. So Naomi is able to invite other people, maybe the chief financial controller, or maybe the IT or data governance and security team as well. They can be involved here as well. So I'm going to, again, I'm using an alias in this case, so that I can see all of the emails that are being sent, such as the invitation emails. So Naomi is going to invite Tom to participate in the conversation. So that's been sent successfully. So Tom, who's previously invisible to Advisor, has now been added as a contact and been invited to the sales room. Then when Tom accesses the sales room, we can also see their activity. Let's have a look now at what that looks like inside Salesforce. I'm going to refresh so that we see the latest view, and I will be able to see here that we now have Tom, who has been invited. And we can have a look at the different activities that has been being tracked as well. So we can see who has been opening the sales room. We can see who's been opening content, how many times, at what date, and what links they clicked on, and who's been having active conversations on that room as well. All of these activities are visible. You can see which of your contacts has been engaging and with which piece of information. That last point is worth sitting with. Your sponsor would tell you everyone's aligned. Your sponsor believes it. But if a finance director hasn't opened the commercials 4 days after being invited, you know something your sponsor doesn't. And you know, well, there's still time to do something about it. You can be told the moment that Tom opens a panel and been in a conversation the same afternoon rather than the following week. So why does this work when other attempts haven't? First of all, It runs inside the Salesforce environment you already own and the websites you already have. There's no separate platform, no second set of logins to hand to clients, and no client data sitting somewhere in the middle. Your existing stack keeps doing what it does. Loupe adds the layer between the website and the CRM that there was never there before and brings it all together. So what can you measure when piloting a product like Loupe? How many hours go back into selling rather than having to chase leads? How long it takes to go from the first real signal to the first real conversation? And how much of a buying group can you actually see compared to how much you're currently guessing at? Let's recap. We started with a proposal that went quiet and the cost of not knowing why. We walked through connect, understand, engage, and guide 4 milestones for turning an ordinary website into something your team can sell from. And we saw it in a consultancy where deals are few, the buying group is hidden, and the people selling are the people you can least afford to have chasing. Here's something I'd leave you to think about. A proposal isn't a document you send. It's a conversation you should be able to see. If you like, walk us through one pursuit of your own and let us show you what you would have known. Loupe. See it now.